Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Club Call. This episode is brought to you by Think. We all know not to drink and drive, but drug driving is just as dangerous. Drugs mess with your reaction times, your focus, and can stay in your system for more than a few days. So even if you think you are fine, your body and brain say otherwise. Police now do more roadside drug swabs than ever. One quick test, and if it's positive, you're facing at least a 12-month ban, a criminal record, and an unlimited fine that stays on your licence for 11 years, and could cost you your job, your insurance, and even travelling abroad. So be smart, make a plan, skip the risk, get a cab, crash at your mates, or hand your keys over before the night starts. Think, don't put drugs in the driving seat.
Wise words.
Thank you.
Yeah, wise words.
There you go. Listen, tonight, obviously, we're all still buzzing from Monday night. So positive calls in, obviously. But I wanted to start with this. This has just popped up in the last hour.
Oh, the Italian thing.
Yeah. So listen, before we start this, but this is something that's appeared on a Roma fan Twitter account.
It's a big Twitter account.
It's not a big Twitter account, but I just thought you're here, so why not address the implication rather than the actual story?
Yeah, I've only read what you put in the WhatsApp when I was driving in.
This tweet says,
okay,
exclusive. Friedkin and Dave Beeston, the CEO of Pursuit Sports, the holding company that controls Roma, Everton and Cannes, are working on a shared sponsorship plan between Roma and Everton. Objective, create a Europe package to attract good job I didn't
Can you read?
Good job I didn't read this other one like that, didn't it? To attract a single global sponsor, overcoming the limits of settlement agreement and financing the stadium. So, number one, is that possible as a thing?
Well, yeah, of course it is, right? I mean, there's a couple of things to unpack from that. I guess the first thing is Dave Beeston, if people don't know, he's the chief executive of Pursuit Sports, which is the entity that Dan Friedkin set up. Dan's the chair, he's the chief exec. Set up Pursuit Sports fundamentally to own the sports assets. Now, that implies that it is the holding company. Well, it will be. Yeah. At the moment, it's not in the ownership hierarchy, but it will be. So let's just continue on an assumption that you got this thing that owns all three clubs. Right? In other words, it doesn't come together at the Friedkin Group, it comes together at Pursuit Sports. Yeah. Now, Beeston himself is an interesting guy because he was, I don't know what his job was, but senior guy, was the executive vice president of some of the Boston Red Sox for like 7 or 8 years. Yeah. And he got headhunted out of there to go to Clear Lake, ultimately the people who own Chelsea.
People own Chelsea, yeah.
Spent 5 minutes there, and Dan Friedkin snatched him out, right? So, a big hitter type. Yeah. If I'm been brought in and I've been teased to come into the Friedkin family, if you will, to run their sports, their sports assets, right, which are fundamentally 3 football clubs in Europe. Yeah. And then I'm supposed to grow the thing, aren't I? Because ultimately, the Friedkin Group here is behaving like a venture capitalist, is buying assets and one day it'll sell and make money, right? That could be a long time away or whatever. But you've got some buying power there, haven't you? You know, you could just have a throwaway that says, well, I don't know, do you? You do, because you're into shirts. I know who makes our shirts. Yeah. Who makes cans?
I don't know.
Who makes Romas?
Adidas,
right? So you might go to Adidas and say, you're really happy with Roma. Why don't we bundle a deal together with Cannes and with Everton Football Club as well? Yeah. And we'll have a cracking deal for all 3. Yeah. And then you may say, we're going to build a new Roma stadium, which is perhaps the reference to the stadium. Clearly, they would want some form of naming rights partner. Why wouldn't you say, well, you can be the naming rights partner for 3 clubs in 3 different countries? And that sort of stuff. In other words, exploit and exercise the benefits of being a multi-club owner. Yeah. And so it sounds quite credible at that level of hypothesis, if you will. But we, because we're part of the family, I suppose, but the Friedkin Group have recruited a heavy hitter in the space, and he's going to hit heavy if he can, isn't he? Yeah. And, you know, the opportunity for overlapping and sharing sponsors, getting some clout, all that sort of stuff is really cool. I mean, you know, my views about the women's team, for example, whereby, you know, that's an income stream for Everton now.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be a cost that wasn't counted against PSR. Now it should be an income stream that does count against. I know PSR's not long for this world, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all the things City have done in the past all have potential, don't they? I'm guessing all the City clubs are all with the same shirt manufacturer.
They're not, but they are gradually all moving.
Well, they have to wait for
They are gradually. New York City can't because they're under Adidas, but
that's what I mean. If you've got a long-term deal in place where the incumbent doesn't want to,
but even there, that they've changed like the majority of their badges to look like the Manchester City brand and stuff.
And what that allows City Group to do is to get intellectual property income from all those round the world clubs. Right. Which land in Manchester, where there's some oppressive rules, but there ain't any rules in the United States or in Australia or whatever. So you can easily see how the holistic owner can give money to, as an example, there, Melbourne City, who then have to pay that money onwards to Man City for using the colours, the badges, probably the data analytics, and don't forget they've acquired a data analytics firm, didn't they? When you know, back in the summer. And Pursuit Sports was only set up in July, I think. You know what I mean? So it's early doors, but it does, if it's got any truth in it, it's a little inkling of big picture intent over the years. In the future.
What does a Europe package mean?
I don't know, because the thing you sent, the image you put in the WhatsApp, that's like an X translation of something in Italian.
It is.
But I'm guessing we've got 3 clubs in Europe.
Maybe,
So we can come to some. Again, it references global agreement, but we'll come to a global agreement, which is actually for what happens in Europe.
I mean, to be fair, in the tweet, it's basically referencing Roma and Everton rather than Khan, because Khan are quite a small
very
club,
junior partner in the 3.
So, and it says overcoming the limits of a settlement agreement, or
that'll be during the acquisition of either the acquisition of Everton, but we don't know what's in that. But I can't imagine there's anything too restrictive in it. But maybe there is some restrictions in the Roma one, which overcomes. I don't know.
It says financing the stadium, but that'll be Roma stadium, because obviously this has come from Roma. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because I mean, Adidas, as in for their kit, they have one of the best. They're in the highest package now of kit deals.
Oh, Roma are?
Yeah, they've elevated themselves simply by their fans buying stuff.
Okay.
So it would make sense, wouldn't it, for all 3 clubs, or certainly the 2 clubs, to maybe share sponsorship brands, and whether that be shirt sponsor, kit sponsor, even name and right sponsor, I suppose.
So would you like Adidas with us?
John,
I think I know the answer.
I don't think I'd have any money left. And to be fair, I don't think most Evertonians have money left, because I could talk all day about this subject, I could. But I'm not sure it'll ever happen because of those people over the road, but why not? If Adidas, if you're coming from the same city, then surely a lot of the people have the same sensibilities and will buy the same stuff. So it's a no-brainer to me. But just an interesting story, just seeing it there, and could be beneficial for both, couldn't it? Because we are maybe. Roma are doing well in the league. If they were to win the league, that's beneficial for us, because we're leveraging their winning of the Serie A. But if we do well, then, and they're not doing so well, they're picking stuff off us because we're a good Premier League club doing well. So it's
one of the alleged disadvantages of having 2 equally balanced clubs, notwithstanding they're doing better in the Italian league as we are in the English one, is, how do you favour one or the other? It's dead easy for City Group to favour Manchester City, right? So the junior member are always going to get dragged up to, But you're right. I don't even know what their accounting periods are. There's a whole host of things you can play games with. A whole host of things.
Also, I think you can win the league in Italy, and you could finish 16th in the Premier League, and financially you'd be exactly earning the same money
until you get in the Champions League.
Yeah, so it doesn't really work out like that. But we'll see. Obviously, their main sponsor's Toyota as well, and it could be something in the future. But we'll see. Right, who we got first? Fruin. Let's get Fruin on.
Fletcher's only second.
Yeah, he's getting slow in his old age.
Yeah, maybe he had tears. He's had his tea earlier.
Yeah. Fruin, go ahead, mate. Go on.
How did you find? Obviously, we were all happy about the win on Monday, but I just wanted to ask: do you think you've seen like a change in mentality now from the players. For the first time in my life, I really sensed the kind of like fight from the team. Watching Everton, it's something I've not really seen before. So I just wanted to know if you guys think our mentality's changed from that game, especially with the sending off and stuff after. Do you think you've seen a lot more character from the players now?
I'll tell you in January.
Right.
Well,
Cop out.
No, genuinely, I saw John was there. He can tell you more firsthand. I saw more fight, but it's got to be consistent, hasn't it? It's got to be on Saturday. It's got to be next Tuesday's the big one, isn't it? Bournemouth away is the one where we always struggle. We're going to go down there on a Tuesday night. The squad's going to be struggling a little bit. We all have to touch wood that James Garner doesn't get a yellow card on Saturday. So we're really going to be against it in many ways. They're the games where you look at it and go, ooh, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves. Forest at home, Chelsea away, Arsenal home. Then Burnley on 27th. Okay, we should be beating them, but we haven't traditionally always beaten Burnley away. And then we've got to go to Forest again. It's not on paper you look at it and go, ooh, but they're the ones, aren't they, John? They're the ones where you go, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to you're right. But going back to the question, I don't think that's a trigger point. I know you did it in your instant match reaction or your
it was
ratings. I can't remember which one I watched. Where you talked about, is this a moment where the light goes on?
Yeah.
Which I guess what Fruin's asking in his question. But so set that aside for a moment. I have seen a change.
Yeah.
Prior to this week.
Okay.
Of, if you will, being a bit more, I don't know what the right attitude, I think you're right, mate. Just mentality. We're hard done by. We're more likely to complain. It's often led by Grealish, for example. You know, and maybe that becomes contagious. I think adversity helps. So, and Keane would have been guilty because he probably knew deep down he contributed to what happened anyway. But he was, pretty flawless after that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And going down to 10, every club on the planet just works a little bit harder, doesn't it, when it's gone down to 10? But I think your eureka moment might be that thing that says, whatever the reason was why we put the extra yards in, we comfortably, not by score, but in my work, as far as I'm concerned, we comfortably beat a Man United team who were on the crest of a wave, thought they turned a corner with 10 men for 77 minutes. And well, what would you be like if you had 11 then?
Yeah.
And this is the point, isn't it, mate? I think where you're coming from. If we take that into the next game with 11-11 and then beat Newcastle, hooray, let's do that, and then go off to Bournemouth with 3 on the bounce, and think this is often a bogey place for us. They seem to have slipping a little bit, but probably through consistency as much as anything else. And we come away from there with anything and we're quite happy. I think we're on a roll here. Let's get back home and do someone else, you know?
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah. I think it's...
I don't think you'll have to wait till January.
I do think, Fruin, I do think it's all down to the better players.
It is.
I think Grealish, people will look at him as like a... I think people looked at him as a show pony. I thought he was brilliant on Monday.
He rolled himself into the ground.
I thought he led by example. He rolled his sleeves up
and
he fought and he was like, we're not getting beat here. I thought Njai done the same thing, Dewsbury Hall. Better players set a higher standard and that's what you need. That's what the best thing about buying better players is that they drag everyone else up. And some players don't go up with them and they get found out. And we talked about that on the final word. They get found out, people who are not prepared. I always remember, funny enough, a player who actually did quite well for us, but Andros Townsend, when he was at Spurs and Pochettino come in and he basically said, who's prepared to run themselves into the ground for this team to be better? And he basically went, I'm not, and left and went to Newcastle. And I think he's come out since then and sort of gone, I regret that. And maybe when he came to us, we got the benefit of him seeing how he'd made a mistake. And I think good players, like, it's not just about... I've said it for years. It's like Goodison as Goodison or whatever, or Hill Dickinson now. It's like, if you can't cope with the atmosphere of Goodison Park or Hill Dickinson Stadium, then you're the under. Yeah,
that's right.
Roberto Martinez said it on
about
Sky.
Managers, the wait for a manager.
Yeah, he was like, you don't understand, and I'm glad he said it, because instead of going, these want too much, he basically said the pressure at Everton Football Club is huge, and if you can't meet that, then you're dead in the water.
True.
And I think it's the same with players. If players can't cope, we shouldn't, and I think we have for a very long time, gone, we're all... And I've said this about James Garner, and I've said this about other players. If you're not prepared to want more out of your career, then Everton shouldn't be the club that you settle for. You should be somewhere else. And I think someone like James Garner's reacted to that. And now it's up to a couple of other players who've been sitting on the bench to do that as well. And I think everyone gets a lift from it. And I think that's what the manager's trying to do. So hopefully, mate, hopefully we see everyone lift up and everyone go higher. So I'm glad that you've seen it, and I'm glad that, I'm glad that you think this is the moment. And we've got to hold them to those standards now.
Yeah, we do. I just wanted to say, I've just noticed, obviously moving to the new stadium and stuff has raised our profile. We're getting on TV more. I've just seen a lot more people talking about Everton in general, just non-Everton fans. So obviously, to match those expectations, we've got to show, we mean business because we've moved to a new stadium, and we've got to match those expectations we set ourselves. So I just wanted to ask another question.
Go on, mate.
What would be considered as progression for you this season? Because obviously we finished on 48 points last season. We didn't have a good start to it, of course, with the old manager. But do you say if we get about 50 to 55 points, is that reasonable progression in your eyes? Or would you be wanting more?
John?
Unfortunately or fortunately, because I'll be right, won't I? I've nailed my colours to the mast, and me and Baz, it's interesting that you give the bracket that you just said, mate, because Baz is very much in the 50 to 55 points. With both of us are on the same page, which is league position as a product of points, so get points, right? And mine was 55 to 60.
Okay.
So I want 55 to 60, and I think that'll be a fabulous return.
Yeah.
Lest we forget, from when Moyes came in January, we were exceeding 60 on a full season impact, and we've spent money. I tend to hope that the owners are going to be thinking like me, it's 55 to 60 you should be going for. But also the points to come along with regularity. None of that. You lose 5 games in 7 with a draw in the middle. Rubbish. Yeah. Win a game every single month, minimum. Yeah. And build on that.
Mine at the moment this is like the metric I use is 4 points every 3 games.
Well, there you go.
So we're 2 ahead of that at the moment. So that's the metric I use to in my mind as the season goes along for mid-table. That's for mid-table. Obviously, once you buy better players and you break out of that, you look for more, obviously. But I think it's 4 points from every 3 games is the way to look at it. It's mad with Moyes, because this will sound that stupid, but the quicker we get to 40 points, obviously we'll pile more points on, because he always... Fruin, how old are you, Fruin?
24.
All right, so so obviously when Moyes was first around, you were obviously young. Yeah. But Moyes has always had this thing of, the minute you hit 40 points, we let go. We will start to push more and more. We will take more chances. We've hit the number that is required, and now we go on from that point. And the sooner we get closer to that marker, or whatever he feels, he'll know he's been through enough seasons. He knows he's got no emotional he doesn't put emotion into it. The moment we get to that point that he feels like we're in the right place, that's where it'll all be like attacking, and I think it was like that last season. It was last season. It was once we got to the points we required. The last few games we flew. The shackles were off, and we just started picking. We got the away wins. We started picking up more points over, and it was full steam ahead. So I don't know where that point will be for Moyes, but I think it'll get easier, and that's how you attract more players, and hopefully he'll try and add to it. Again, it'll be January, isn't it? You've got a certain marker by the time you get to January. You're not looking at once kind of player. you're looking at a different kind of player. Like he said last year when he came in, he's like, because we did so well when we started, we didn't actually need to go in the transfer market in January. Hell, kept his powder dry and then bought players in the summer. Might be the same this time. Go on.
Do you think once we hit around 40 points, you'll start playing players like Diblin and Asnu maybe? Or do you think that's... Because I really want to see those type of players, like, in... I don't know about the first team, but definitely coming into the game, because I just feel like we've bought them, but like there's obviously a fine line between risk and reward.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the thing that I'm really waiting on, because I'm really happy with the players that are starting in the first team now, but there are obviously players on the bench that you want to see, and I'm just waiting on that moment, because even though we've had a good win and we've done better, it's just I want to see the progression in the players as well.
I think we're unlikely to see Asnu. We're unlikely to see Asnu because I think he'll go out on loan on January. We certainly won't have 40 points by then.
What's interesting about Asnu is, though, this time next week, he could be one of 5 senior players on the bench.
That's true. So the chances of him getting minutes increases.
The chances are getting more and more that he will be closer to getting. This time next week, I hope it's not. But if James Garner gets booked on Saturday, let's just say, it will be Beto, Dwight McNeil, Carlos Alcaraz, Asnu, and Tyler Diblin. They'll be the 5 senior subs, 2 goalkeepers and 2 kids.
Yeah,
that'll be the bench next week. That's hoping nobody else gets injured. So that'll be the bench next week. So suddenly you go, well, Beto, Dwight McNeil, and Carlos Alcaraz are your first 3 subs. Then Tyler Diblin, and then Asnu, and then you take it. And then also when Njai goes, then suddenly Diblin's or Dwight McNeil will start, or Carlos Alcaraz will start. One of those 3 would start, you would imagine, and then it becomes he's another one. So it's interesting that he played last night again for the under-21s. That was probably always going to happen, but he is closer. But you are right, he'll probably go out on loan, but that period in time, they will be thinking, oh, we might need to play him. So
there was a curiosity in the warm-up at Old Trafford.
Oh, yeah, you said,
which was Dibbling in with the starting 11.
Yeah.
And then almost when they finished the drills and they were just doing the running up and down bit, he went off with the subs.
Interesting.
You're 4 from 3. That's 51 points.
Yeah.
So you are in that 50 to 50.
Yeah.
You've gone there a different way. You've gone to you're at 50 to 50.
So I think just to answer your question for you, and I think if we get to say at least 25 points by the turn of the year, so halfway mark, I think Moyes will be quite calm then and be like, yeah, we can start looking up and not be, we've got past the new stadium fact there. We've played everybody, and always traditionally Moyes has a better second half of the season because the likes of Barry will have played a dozen games by then. And then it might be a case of, well, we've bedded in Barry, now we can start bedding in Tyler Diblin. So, let's see.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, lads, anyway.
Nice one, mate. See you through. Ta-ra, mate. Right, let's get Fletch on, because he's obviously Who was doing the doorbell then? Who was he? There's a doorbell going off?
Oh, all right. Okay.
Fair enough.
He's ignored the Amazon man to finish his call. Yeah. Well done, him. That's what I say. Come on, let's get Fletch done.
Let's get him over and done with. Not hearing
Fletch. All right, fellas, how's it going?
No! There's the boy. Whoa. Welcome. You just deafened us.
Yeah. Go ahead, Fletch.
Right, pal. What I was going to say, I'm just absolutely, I'm over the moon with the result on Monday night. I'm absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
It was one of those games, right? It was probably one of the best games of football I've ever seen Everton play.
You need to watch more games, mate.
No, just in terms of the way in which we had the victory as well, going down 10 men after 13 minutes. Right, to grind that result out in those circumstances, we made it near enough impossible, didn't we?
On ourselves, yeah. We nearly made it impossible on ourselves. Yeah.
We shot ourselves in the foot big time, but just the way in which we played like Barcelona for 75 minutes.
Sure. Absolutely.
Didn't get battered though,
Do you know what I mean? Like it was that good. We were that good a team, and like the spirit was there of the team. It was a team effort.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm just absolutely buzzing to be a Blue at the minute. I'm absolutely like this is what it's about. At the end of the day, it's that winning mentality.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just a winning mentality, Fletch. It's a mentality. It's having a mentality in the first place. It's having a mentality of going, you're not going to win every single game. So, but what we want to see is a team that's capable of going to win places and knowing that they're not going to fall to bits simply because something happens. And for the last 10
we don't bottle it and become cannon fodder. We compete.
Yeah, and for far too long, Everton have been a team that concede one goal and then concede the second goal within 5 minutes because they just don't have that mentality. We saw it, unfortunately, we did see it at Man City on this season, where it's just like you can see one, put it this way: if Man United had scored, I think they would have scored a second on Monday night.
That sort of game, you're right. It's that sort of
because that's what. So the fact that we didn't.
And we
shows
kept it,
we
kept it a fortress, didn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was brilliant, mate.
I like the way Jack Grealish predicted it last week, where he said, "What either him or Dewsbury Hall we're gonna go viral at Old Trafford next week."
Yeah,
and
manifested.
He did.
Yeah, they manifested it.
That is manifestation in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's manifestation. What big players do, mate.
We just conquered United at Old Trafford.
We did. But the thing about it is, though, Fletch, Man United are rubbish. And they've been rubbish. They were rubbish last year, but they beat us 4-0 because we went there with an attitude of, we're just going to try and not lose this game. And far too many times. To be fair, we did it under Moyes loads when Moyes was the manager the first time. But it's nice to see Everton go
the corner in that respect now.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Do you live in a crypt?
Sorry,
squeaky
mate.
doors.
Say that again.
What's with the squeaky doors?
Oh, sorry. It's not my mum shouting me from the tea again.
You better go then.
You better go and get your tea.
We're having lasagna for tea tonight.
Oh, quick! Get down those stairs.
Yeah, come back later.
I just wanted to finish the phone call with yourselves first. Jack Grealish, he predicted it last week. He manifested it. It went viral.
It did.
I just moving on to Saturday against Newcastle, we could potentially go fourth.
Yeah. Yeah, we could.
With a win over Newcastle. So it's onwards and upwards, competing at the highest level.
Absolutely, mate.
Up the Toffees.
Absolutely. There you go, mate. There you go, Fletch. Smashed it.
All right, no worries, pal.
See you later, mate.
Take care.
Mate. There you go. There you go.
You are right, when you say you can't win every game, sort of thing. There's only 4 teams in the Premier League who've won their last 2 games.
There you go.
And us and Forest are 2 of them. So that's 16 clubs. We can't put 2 wins together.
Yeah, well done, Notts Forest.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for that lad who's still got a massive haircut, I think you're gonna have to do something about that, aren't you? He's gonna have to move it down to 3 wins, isn't he? He's never getting 5 wins. So I don't know how he lives with that hair.
It's all competitions, though, the 5 wins.
Do they have to be on the bounce?
Not in any other competitions.
I know, but I think he was hoping that, like a Carabao Cup win. Random.
They're out the Carabao Cup.
They haven't won for 3 games.
I know, Grimsby done them dirty.
They haven't won for 3 games.
I think he went too big.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time Man United won 5 games.
That's a good question.
In one go.
Someone out there will know. Yeah.
Imagine a Man United fan. There's not a chance on earth that they are getting 5 wins in a row this season. Not happening.
It'll change to draws don't count.
I think he should just go to 3 wins. His hair's ridiculous. Right, we got Rob.
We have got Rob.
Get Rob.
Hello?
Go on, Rob.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go on.
Fantastic. I just want to talk about Tierno Barry.
Go on.
I thought it was a brilliant performance by him. Best we've seen so far. And I was looking at where he's played before, And what people don't realise about Thierno Barry is that we are his 5th club in 5 years. He's gone from France to Belgium, to Switzerland, to Spain, now to the Premier League, the hardest league of the lot. He's had 5 different teams, 5 different systems, 5 different coaches. He's had so many different languages. You know, I'm surprised he knows his arse from his elbow. And here we are, he's finally starting to look good. And I just think he's got so much potential. If we give him a chance to settle in, you know, under the same regime, learning everything new, I think we could have a real good player on our hands.
No, I agree, mate. I just, for me, early on, the issue was always going to be whether he was going to be given the chance, because David Moyes has never been maybe one for sticking with a player for that long, a young player, especially when we needed goals. But maybe now we've picked up 6 points in the last 2 games with him starting the game as well, which is really important. Or saying we've picked up 7 points in the 3 games that he started without him scoring a goal, but he has had an impact on the team, hasn't he, John?
He has, and you know, and you're right, he has bounced around a bit, and I think Baz called it when we first bought him, wasn't it, that he's taken a little while at each club to settle in, but once he has, he's gone for it. And I think he's only played, I don't know, 35 games or something most. He's played with one club, but he's scored double-figure goals in all of them. So who's to say by the time he gets to 35 games with us, he won't have scored double-figure goals? Yeah. That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. That means he'll get double-figure goals this season, hopefully, you know.
I think he's been really unfortunate to come into our situation where, you know, he has been thrust into the limelight so soon. You know, and if you think about his learning curve, it's been so steep. He was playing in the French 5th tier. You know, he was playing in the 2nd league in Belgium before he went to, was it Basel or wherever he went to in Switzerland?
Basel in Switzerland, and then on to Villarreal,
It's similar in a sort of journey of where he's come from to where he is now to, I know he's a very different player, but if you think about Jamie Vardy, who come through Fleetwood and Halifax, and he came into the Premier League, and his first season didn't score many goals, and his second season he started to become the player that he became. You know, I'm not saying Barry's going to hit those levels or goal scoring or whatever, but I think, you know, people need to realise where he's come from, and his potential ceiling is so high.
I agree, mate, and I think this run of games is going to do. I mean, clearly he'll start on Saturday, won't he? After the performances he's put in the last 2 games, but you know, both improving. Why wouldn't you start him again? And then he'll start believing that he's got the shirt, won't he?
Let's just give him the confidence and know that once he feels like he's got it now and can grow, whereas beforehand he was looking over his shoulder thinking, am I going to be out the team with that bat if I don't have a great performance? So hopefully he'll move on and he'll get his first goal, and that'll just take that little bit of pressure off him.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, fantastic. And if I can just make one more point, just to
go for it, mate.
Just to echo what some of the guys have been saying about mentality, it made me think about when Gareth Southgate went into England, and he said he tried to reach the players.
Go on, say that again.
Gone into a dodgy zone.
When Southgate came into England, he said that the young players, he released them from carrying all the weight of all the crap performances of England teams that are in the past. And it's like Dewsbury Hall and Grealish have come in. They're not carrying the weight of these relegation battles and all the crap football under Dyche. And I think that's starting to spread through the team to say, look, we can be better. We are better than this. We can climb the table.
I think you're right, Rob. Absolutely. Absolutely, you're right. I think James Garner, had mentioned him before, he stepped up to the point where he almost stepped over Dewsbury Hall, and he stepped up again now. And you get that accumulative benefit, don't you? And therefore, players will self-select as this is the wrong club for them. You know, someone like Dwight can't really fight for his place because he should have got over the fact that he's not a first choice by now, shouldn't he? Yeah. But he starts doing the right thing, and Moyes will play him. Yeah, because he has attributes, particularly in games like we had, you know, where you want a little bit of experience and stuff, wing-backy type stuff. So Moyes can do that. He then gets role models to point at. You know, when someone's bitching and whinging at him, he just looks and says, just do what he's doing. It's easy. Yeah, absolutely. Good one. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice one, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Rob. Drive carefully, mate.
Cheers.
There we go.
But that's the point. It's accumulative, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Every knock-on effect to the next player.
Yeah, Grealish, the big superstar, is the one who's kickstarting the work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and the England manager will like that as well, because again, he's infectious as a personality as well. You know, and the 24th player in a 24-man squad or whatever it is in the World Cup isn't going to see the pitch, is he? No. So you can carry somebody who's there for other reasons. So,
anyone waiting, James? Let's have a look at some of your comments.
Go, go, go.
Come on, someone get on the phone. We'd rather listen to your calls than... Danny Church says, can't wait for Barry to get his first goal. The roof will come off of the stadium.
South Stand goal, eh?
Yeah, any start.
Yeah, but
I don't care. James,
I'd like to see him smile.
I think that'll come once he's got it.
Yeah, he will.
Mark Cody says Grealish always worked hard. I know, but I think there's a difference between working hard and...
He's a leader. Doing
it for the team as well at times. I think people may have... Someone said to me the other day about that. I was like, mate, he was at Villa when they were at the lowest. And he fought. He brought Villa back up, and then he fought to, you know, for everything when they were nearly going down, and he kick-started what's happened at Villa. Manly K. Fazza says, every day I've been reminding my Liverpool mates we're above, and we will continue to do so. He will continue to do so.
Remind them.
Yeah.
Good lad. Keep it going.
Craig Faber says, Everton finishing above Liverpool got King Kenny sacked. It did get him sacked, but he was only really there temporary anyway, wasn't he? Danny Chase says, do you think if Liverpool got relegated, will their day tripper fans still support them?
Of course not.
Well, I was in town on Saturday night around like 6 o'clock, and I was sitting next to a family as they were eating, and they were all from America. And
so they're in Five Guys, were they?
Yeah, and they all seem to be quite like unmoved. Do you know what I mean? And I've seen quite a lot of Liverpool fans in town, and a lot of them just seemed really unmoved by it. Like, and I know that's not like a bet. I know Liverpool fans who are from here would be probably mortified by that, but that's the problem, isn't it? It's like, it's a day out. Seeing that video of the Man United fan absolutely fuming after the game, and people are telling him to calm down, and he's like, we've just been beaten 1-0 at home by 10 men, and it's those people becoming at those clubs becoming less and less and less, and that I'd hate that to happen. I'd hate that to happen to us, because I know we have loads of fans who come over.
Of course we do.
But I'd still feel like when they come over, they're still hurt. They don't go. They don't go in at the pub afterwards and go, well, it was just great to be here. They're hurt by it. Whereas a lot of these people just didn't seem to be that bothered. I just hate that. I absolutely hate that to happen.
Can't have any sport with them, can you?
No. Let's have a look.
You're all right there, James.
Celtic Vape says, Fletch, your tea's on the table, move it. Don't have me to come up those stairs. Phil Evans says, you think Fletcher's mum would know he has important club call business at this time on a Wednesday? Emma says, enjoy your tea, Fletch.
We need Fletcher's mum on, don't we?
Yeah. And F Sushi says he's living under the stairs like Harry Potter.
That was the creek.
That was the creek, yeah. El Tel says, did you see the Everton hijack Man United TV? All good, was brilliant, and give the United fella credit, he let them have their fun, boss. No, I didn't see that. What was that all about? No. Was that something within the stadium? No. Prodigy fan says, shouldn't Moyes freshen up the side on Saturday after the players put in so much effort with 10 men on Monday? Surely one or two of them will be leggy after that. No. Why would they be leggy?
2-3 day recovery.
They're professional sportsmen. Yeah. Newcastle played last night at a away game at Marseille. That's what professional sports people should be able... Maybe on next Tuesday, you might look at it and go, maybe one or two, or maybe one, but Monday to Saturday, no. Had plenty of time. And they'll be training every single day. I imagine they'll have had today, Tuesday off, and they might have like a warm up session today. But they'll be training now till Sunday. Sam Banks says Diblin and Asnu clearly haven't impressed in training. Do we sell or loan them? Well, I wouldn't suggest that we. I think Asnu will go on loan because the manager said that he needs more till next year. So he'll probably go on loan. But no, Diblin could be in 3 weeks' time. Diblin will be a very important member of this squad when Njai goes out on loan. Philip says, my expectation was low at the start of the season. I wanted 10 home wins to get to 40 points as soon as possible. I mean, 10 home wins I don't think that's a low expectation. That's, for the last few seasons, that's twice as many as we got at Goodison last year. So 10 home victories is not a low expectation, I'd say. Royal Blue Rich says 26 games left, so the target for that is 78 points. Fair enough. Scouser 6630 says Garner will be signing a new contract. He's only getting better and better. DJ Joe Bar says we should be on 22 points, in my opinion, if only we beat West Ham and Villa, top 4. Yeah, but I don't look at it like that, because I think we were lucky to beat Brighton and Palace. I thought we were lucky to beat those two. So sometimes it works. Sometimes
lucky.
I thought Brighton could have scored 4 times easily. So I think those 2 games could easily have been a draw, and we could have easily beat West Ham and Villa.
So were we lucky against Man United then?
No, because we
could have scored 3.
Brighton missed clear sitters. They could have been 3-0 up by the time we scored.
That's true.
She tried to give them basically.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree. The Brighton one, Palace one, really.
Palace battered his first half, though. And he should have scored.
The one.
They could have been 2-0 up easily and they scored the second. So I think we are where we should be. I think in terms
overall, I think you're probably right. Yeah, it's just the journey's been a bit different, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what happens sometimes, isn't it?
So Newcastle have lost 4 on the trot away from home.
Yeah,
what could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to get too much into that, but obviously,
Harvey Barnes is flying, isn't he?
He's doing well. But last night it was the goalie, wasn't it? The goalie came charging out for no reason.
What was he doing?
And it was a great finish by Aubameyang. But
it's a terrific finish by him.
Yeah. So they're not. We've got to seize on that, haven't we? On Saturday, we've got to be at them straight away and seize on all those issues.
And that's sort of what we said going into the United game, wasn't it? Let's do a Sunderland, if you like. Now it's do a Man United, isn't it? Start quickly, lots of movement, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And of course, if we score first, it gets really difficult with that stadium bouncing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Saturday.
Our stadium.
I think Saturday, if we were to win, I think
3 in a row.
I think everyone would. I think they already are, but I think it would be. Sometimes you're thinking, where can it go wrong? But I think if you win 3 in a row at this stage of the season and you get into a different part of I think Neville actually said before the game, he said a win tonight, he said, puts you in one part of the table, but a defeat puts you in a much different part of like 2 runs up the ladder if you win.
Sure.
And I think it's the same on Saturday. A win on Saturday would put us in a much better place. And then it's like, I'm not saying you can afford to lose games then, but it gives you that little
buffer.
It gives you that buffer. So you're not always thinking, something could go wrong here. And I think that would be massive on Saturday, absolutely. And then you go to Bournemouth and you're thinking, do you know what? A point wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But because you're thinking that, you think you might end up getting a win because you've got the confidence to get a win. And then let's hope so.
United would have been 4th or 5th, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
if they'd won.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Put you above Liverpool, so you're in a different mix then, and you're on the same point as United, so you're in a different mix then.
Interesting.
Tazul says, also, I'm still miffed about the Sunderland game. We should have been out of sight after 30 minutes, but ended up drawing. Yeah, that was one I wasn't happy about. That should have been at least 2-0 up at half time, and then whatever happened second half happened. But we should have been out of sight at half time, and we've not.
Could have won it in the last seconds.
Yeah, we could have, but we haven't done that. And it's about just. But then I think we've learned from that game into Monday's game, and we've took that and used it in Monday's game. Got to the half time, and then after half time, we made sure we were switched on for the first 5 minutes.
Right.
No, because when you concede a goal like that, you throw all that good work away.
Of course you do.
In a second. J Hop says, should have drawn at Leeds at the start of the season. Yeah, you'll always get these though. You could that's
There's always ifs and buts.
Of course there is. But every single team will have them. Every single team will be
always.
Like Liverpool would have gone. We battered Forest on Saturday for the first 15 minutes. If we'd gone 1-0 up, that would have been it. But that's just not how football works.
No.
It's not how football works. Tottenham at home. If we get it back to 1-1, a goal that should have been a goal, then the game could have been very, very, very different. Yeah. They get the next goal and it's all heads down then. That's just football, isn't it?
And that's what Gary Neville was trying to say, I guess, pre-match.
Yeah. Kieran says there will be games like Sunderland, like Villa, when we don't have a goal-scoring striker. Hopefully Barry just needs a goal. And that's true as well, isn't it? Those games are... You need that person, don't you, to get that goal in those games. Talking about Newcastle last night, Aubameyang, who's in great form, scoring a couple of goals. We just need that game. We need that striker who separates us from in those games, who takes those chances. That's the next thing now, isn't it, I think?
Oh, absolutely. And Dewsbury Hall's goal was a Ndijk type goal, wasn't it? You know, jiggling through and letting fly. So those midfield players have to contribute. But a man who's got a 9 or a virtual 9 on his back needs to score goals. Yeah. And that helps everybody then, because at the moment I'm sure defenders are thinking, you know, he's new to the league, can clatter into him, he's going to tire. Yeah. They all know all those things, but within another 3 or 4 games he isn't going to tire, is he? Yeah. And hopefully he's had a goal or 2 by then as well. And again, there's another lift then off his shoulders, and then he'll relax into the games as well, knowing that he's earned the right. Meanwhile, our defence can be a bit wobbly, and that will get stronger in the second half as well. If for no other reason, Branthwaite will be back. You know what I mean? So we can all go mega optimistic, and then get battered at home by Newcastle, and we all fall apart. And I think some of the comments there are, we are going to have setbacks because we're not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination, you know? Yeah. So we don't want our heads falling off when we lose one. Yeah. But let's still go mad when we win. That's fine. Yeah. You can get carried away when we win. Yeah. Just don't get mega depressive when we don't.
Just going back to obviously it was announced yesterday, the Magic Weekend.
Magic Weekend, yeah.
Is going to be at Hill Dickinson in July, is it?
It is July, yeah. 4th and 5th, yeah. And
I didn't even realise till I looked on it, but like St Helens are going to be playing Wigan.
Oh, they always put derbies in there.
Yeah, but I didn't even realise.
Warrington are playing Widnes, I think,
which is going to be...
Well, Lee, is it?
Lee, isn't it?
Lee Leopards,
yeah. In the Super League?
No, they're not. Yeah, Lee Leopards, yeah.
But obviously, 6 games over 2 days.
Pitchuk takes some stick.
Yeah, it's fine. It's July, who cares?
Well, it's summer.
Two games. It's 6 games over 2 days. Full days, you imagine. Probably starts at 2 and probably finishes at 10 or something. I'd imagine.
Whatever, be an evening game. Yeah.
How much is that bonus? An added bonus for the football club, not just in terms of monetary, but in terms of capturing that and showing that this stadium can hold those kind of events.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the next thing is let's have the grand final there.
Yeah.
You know, and if we can fix some of the creases that peed off the rugby league fans about running out of beer and toilets and concourse areas being a bit crowded, and that's some of that's just going to be around better stewarding and stuff like that, showing people where the space is and so on. Then it'll become the home of rugby league, won't it? Yeah. You know, the northern home. It's been Old Trafford for many a long year, which is a very tired stadium. Really tired stadium.
Do you think though? just on that, do you think there's more chance of them maybe getting the Challenge Cup rather than because?
No, because they've got to deal with Wembley, haven't they? So Challenge Cup final, I don't know, but Challenge Cup final is always at Wembley.
I know, but what's the point? Because
it's usually northern teams.
It's northern. There's like one southern team and one team.
I think there's a very good chance we'll get the grand final.
Only thing I've
the capacity is an issue.
The only thing I've seen about that is I've seen replies to tweets and stuff, and a lot of them are capacity. A lot of them are the capacity issue of you're cutting it down by 25,000 or whatever.
Yeah. Capacity is an issue,
and if it sells out every time, I just think that
there's more boxes as well to make a day of it at Old Trafford.
I just wonder whether the Challenge Cup might be something where they look at it and think, why are we still playing at Wembley? Because the argument was for the Ashes tournament was the first game they played at Wembley was terrible. The atmosphere was absolutely terrible. So it might be
despite having a lot more people in there.
Yeah,
just because the ground
is and people. Yeah. So I just wonder whether I know it's always been at Wembley and it's traditionally Wembley. I just wonder whether the Super Leagues. I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but what I've seen is it doesn't seem to be in a good place financially. It seems to be always having to come up with sort of new ideas to keep people interested, whether they be kick-off times or whatever. They try to expand it. Obviously, it's a northern sport, an M62 sport. I just wonder whether it would curry more favour with people if they said, well, actually, we've got good stadiums in the north now. We've got a brand new stadium in Liverpool, which isn't a rugby city, which I think sort of helps as well. Why not move that there? I know traditions might kick off, but
everyone likes a day out at Wembley.
I think I'm not sure.
The thing about the Magic Weekend and the grand final is fans from all clubs go to both of them.
Yeah.
You know, the grand final is a celebration of rugby league in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't fill the stadium probably with, even if it was, I don't know, what would be the biggie, Wigan versus Saints maybe.
Yeah.
You might not fill the stadium if it was only Wigan and Saints fans.
Yeah.
In a grand final. In the grand final you would, because and that's where the Old Trafford extra capacity comes into play.
Yeah.
Right. But no, the momentum is what it's about. So I would try and go for a grand final once you've done the Magic Weekend boss sort of thing, and clearly a UEFA competition, a UEFA final.
Yeah.
Which probably means peak would be Europa League, wouldn't it? Perhaps go conference first or something.
Well,
they'll be getting them announced soon, won't they, for future years? I don't know how many years in advance they do it, but for me, it would be really cool if we finished the season, you know, the football season 27-28 with a European final at Hill Dickinson, and then straight after it you got the Euros.
Yeah.
So that would then be a year when you didn't do any poppy concert things, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can build up that momentum that it's a sports venue, really. You can still have your concerts in the plaza.
You could, yeah. For obviously that's going to be lesser, but I'm just looking here to just see what. I think the last couple of attendances at Wembley were
getting tickets for the Challenge Cup finals never an issue in my experience.
Here's the attendances: 63,000 this year, 64,000 last year.
This Challenge Cup
final, 58 the year before.
Never an issue getting Challenge Cup final tickets.
2022 was actually played at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Was that because there was some issue at Wembley?
And there was 51,000. The last time. So then there's 40,000 in 2021. That might be COVID related. 62, 50, 68, 76 Hull versus Warrington. 80 was Leeds versus, I think Leeds bring a lot, don't they? So anytime Leeds have been in it, the numbers are quite big. They're getting towards 80. But in the last few years, it's dramatically dropped off. So, 63 is obviously 10,000 and we've got. But that's also for Wembley with 90,000 capacity. That's a lot. That becomes cavernous.
And that's the Challenge Cup final is very much, if you like, it's not the festival that the grand final is. You know, where all clubs fans go. So maybe it is a bit of an ask trying to get Old Trafford off, or get the grand final off Old Trafford. But maybe you're right, mate. You've called it. Try and get a Challenge Cup final.
I just think the thing about Challenge, I mean, Super League finals, I don't know what the contract is. I don't know what the Wembley contract is. But I just think that, there's the contract here. Challenge Cup final will have a new July date from 2020 as part of the extended agreement between 2027. It runs till.
Well, there you go.
2027.
So we've got, 18 months maybe to keep showing what a great venue we are.
Yeah.
And then can they do something around the capacity during that time, be it standing or whatever? Because you can stand at rugby league matches.
Yeah. No, I
get the right seats in, lads. Get to 1 and 1.5. Lift the capacity up to the high 50s with standing.
Yeah.
Jobs are good.
Yeah. Well, that's the other side of it, isn't it? Could you... Everton might say different. The designer might say different. But could you increase the capacity in the lower south for a rugby league game? As in have it one from 1 to 1.5 for a rugby league game rather than it being a football event?
No. Not with the seats we've put in, because there isn't enough space.
I thought there was enough space for 1.5.
Not with the seats we've installed, no.
Okay.
The depth and all that is there. Yeah. So we made that commitment, which is to change the seats for the whole of the lower south to get to 1 and 1.5. And if you get real skinny seats, you might even get close to 2.
Yeah.
Right. And what is it? 5,000 on the lower, right? That lifts your capacity by 2.5 for a rugby league game.
Yeah.
Maybe the SAG will think, well, they stand a lot in those games anyway. Blah blah blah. And then you've got a test case then for pushing it for Premier League, haven't you? As well.
Yeah.
I'm sure all these conversations are going on.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
have a strategic direction. Where do we want to be?
The relationship's been started
in a couple of years' time.
So therefore, we'll move on from that one. We've done the first bit, now we've done the second bit, and it is like you just said. The next bit might be the full thing, but then you're up against Man United then, and that'll be an interesting battle. But Wembley, I think Wembley, the thing about Wembley is, I think Wembley will do all right without the rugby league.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll just fill it with something else. They've got so much.
But they used to have NFL and they lost it to Spurs.
Yeah, that is the one thing, isn't it? But
that's what happens when you design a stadium for a specific sport. You're bound to get that sport, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, we've designed ours for football.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I just hope the chief exec or the owners of our club right now have a while back have said to the stadium management people, we want the capacity for start next season to be greater than it is now. Just do it.
Yeah.
Find a way.
Yeah.
Find all your nooks and crannies, if that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get people off the waiting list. You can't have a stagnant thing where, be interesting to see what the renewals are like, won't it?
Yeah. The argument, though, I've seen put out there by a couple of people is, and I don't know whether they've been told to say this or they're just are
these rank and file fans or just others?
No. And
others.
We'll put it this way, right? Dan Mice has said that the stadium can't be made bigger because the toilets, concourses, etc., were built for 53,000. But that completely...
I'd love to see the actual quote or a video of him saying that.
That's what he said. He said it on Twitter. Right?
That's ridiculous.
But it's still, and I've said this numerous times, it's still on his website. And Everton pushed it when it was first, because I was there, I was in the room. Everton said, and he said, this stadium could go up to 60,000.
62.
So, is that 62 and you'd have to do the concourses and toilets? Or was it 62 and everything else remains the same? Because I don't know how both things can exist in the same world. How can something go up to 60, but you can make the excuse that it can't go up because we don't have the amenities?
Yeah, that clip's still there of me live on Sky on the day the capacity was announced. Jim White, bless him, was reading straight from the press release and said it's expandable to 62,000.
Yeah.
Now, whether there's something lost in translation, but please, someone...
Yeah.
The 62. No. Find the tweet for me. I'm astonished that he's.
You can still go on his website to extend it.
No.
I'm talking about.
Try and find for us 1 sec. Just go on Dan Mice. Just
find the tweet.
Dan Mice, and I don't know.
Whatever he said, because
he's just put something like it can't be made bigger. So just see if you can just find it.
These things, that context is really important in these, because he may have said it can't be made bigger without doing these things. Clearly, the exits and stuff, I can't remember that fancy word that begins with formatories or whatever it's called, but the exits, you're not going to change those.
No.
So if he said that's one of the reasons why you can't extend it, then we were told lies. Simple.
Mistruths.
No, it's a lie. When the stadium capacity was announced, it was a lie. That doesn't mean to say it's a lie when it's built, because they cut corners or they save some pennies or whatever, right? But a very definitive statement would work, wouldn't it?
Well,
you know, the football club or someone can just say, no, that's it, lads, this is it. It's never going to be bigger than this, ever.
Well,
without taking roofs off.
Someone put a thing on last week, didn't he? Someone was saying that someone put it out. You know the way like accounts on social media put something, and then everyone just believes it, and then other accounts put it.
Oh, the things about extending it for Euros. So someone said
for the Euros are going to be extended, and it was like, I asked the club, and they were like, I said, I was like,
you knew the answer, but you had to ask.
Well, I asked, yeah,
you have
to. And they were like, it's not happening.
Damn right.
UEFA already know what it's going to be. They've already announced it. It ain't going to be any bigger. And that's
not for the Euros.
No, and that's the end.
It might be bigger because we extend it.
It might be made better in terms of like they might sort out the toilet situation.
Well, they're doing that in the summer, aren't they?
So they might sort out all that kind of thing. Yeah. But it's still, this is what I'm saying. There's still a thing of people, Dan Mice and people have said it, journalists reacting to what Dan Mice said, that it can't be increased because of that reason, and it's still on his website.
It can.
And that's the thing that I can't get out. Yeah. I can't get out. It's not like, I'm not saying somebody's lying, but like you've just said, it would be dead handy if Everton would come out, or someone would come out and just go, this is how it can be increased, and these are the things we would have to do to make it increased. And that's it. And we're not going to do that thing without that thing. And that's it. But at the moment, you still got this thing of when people are, it's still out there that Everton's saying 52,000 capacity, 888, 62,000. It still exists in this world because that's what we're told.
Never got to 888 anyway. So.
No, we never got to that either because they robbed us of it with camera things and all that. Again, I think that's mad. I think that's mad that cameras weren't built into the design of it, and you have to take seats off, selling seats. I find that absolutely mad. Why haven't they got one of those spider cams as well? Modern stadium.
Same reason I haven't got a Tifo.
Well, they should have one of those spider cams. It's a modern stadium. It should have one of those. Maybe that's the thing they'll put in for next season. Anyway, I'm not having a moan at Everton. I'm not having a moan at Everton. I'm just saying if we want these big events, I've said this since the start. If we want to take events off Anfield, we've got to try and match their capacity. And their capacity is 61,000. So when a concert happens, it's going to be 61,000. Ours is going to be 52,000. Straight away, that's an issue. Straight away, the people are like,
nearly £1 million.
No, that's 10,000 less people. That's a lot of money. So
nearly £1 million.
Straight away, we're at a disadvantage from that point of view. As you said before, sporting might be the route. UEFA games, we've already got the Euros. Could we get a final? Could we become the home of, like you said, Brazil played down in the Emirates last week? Yeah. Can we get Brazil? Can we get whoever else? Can we get England women? Can we get,
all of those
anything, any potential tournaments in the future? Football, under 19s, under 21s, whatever it is, can we get them at our ground? Because we've got the modern facilities, and I think that's massively important. We'll see on the entertainment side. I mean, Anfield's already announced 4, and we haven't got any. Now that might just be because Everton aren't going down that route next summer. They simply
wouldn't surprise me if we went down the sporting route.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, John, if it was a case of We have decided to do work at the ground next season. All these things we're talking about, the toilets,
they all have to be joined up.
They all have to be done, and we've got, you know what? We'll leave that first summer. We'll leave it empty.
Because we're getting a big spike in income anyway.
Yeah, we're getting a fit. We're going to do it. We'll have a sporting event. We might be able to put another sporting event in there at some point. And we'll leave the concerts for the year after when we feel like we've got everything where we want it. And we feel like might even come under the transport thing as well. Because guess what, Mr. Mayor, you better have your trains all sorted for that date when people from all over the northwest are coming to Liverpool on that date, and they'll go into town on the bevies, and they'll come down, and guess what? Loads of them ain't walking. Have you seen rugby people? They ain't walking. They get on a train. You better have it sorted. That's up to you, Mr. Rotherham. And I imagine by then your mate might even be Prime Minister by then as well. So you might have to be doubly good. So before we go, one thing I will ask you, because I've got you as well. Everton women. Because...
What about them?
Everton women. It's been quite business heavy, hasn't it, today? But you haven't been ringing in, so that's not my fault.
This isn't business, is it?
Everton women, CEO's leaving.
Yes.
She's been in the job for 3 months.
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
Don't know. No, sorry, I'm going to talk a bit more than that. I mean, if we look at the lady, right? Well, she was, 12 years, was it, at Liverpool?
What did she do at Liverpool?
She was like chief operating officer, wasn't she?
Of Everton, of Liverpool women or Liverpool?
No, Liverpool, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that. I mean, it's on LinkedIn, so you can have a look. And then she went to the Jockey Club.
Yeah.
Similar sport, right? And that was as a chief operations officer. And then she came to Everton Women as chief exec.
Yeah.
And maybe she just found out that's the job that's not for her, being the top dog, All roads lead to you. The buck stops here, all those sorts of things. Because 3 months isn't very long.
No.
It's not even getting your feet under the table, No. But it could just be something as simple as she has very firm views about what the direction of this women's team should be doing, and the owners don't agree. So they go, oh, well, okay, we better get someone who does agree with us. Yeah. Maybe they've made demands on growth and progress and stuff, and she said, nah, it's not going to happen.
Do you think...
I don't know, yeah.
Do you... If from looking from the outside in...
It's not a good look.
Do you think some of those things might be because of Goodison Park?
I wouldn't have thought so. That might have been a catalyst for the debate about, why aren't you getting more people through the gate?
Yeah.
It's presumably a significant investment to continue to use that stadium because of its age and the fact that you could have a lot more people, blah, blah, blah. And the attendances after the initial excitement at the beginning, they could have stayed at Walton Old Park, couldn't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe a bit of lack of belief in the new chief exec about the aspirations that the owners might have was to play. Who knows?
Yeah.
It seems a bit bizarre that someone after 90 days is going, but they're staying in post for another 6 months.
That's to have a smooth transition.
Yeah,
John.
well, we've heard that bullshit before. Yeah. But
what are you? Can I?
She can't make decisions, can she, in the next 6 months because she ain't going to be there, right?
Let me ask you this decision.
So it's just
question.
a bit bizarre.
Let me ask you this question though.
Sorry, can I just say one thing while you're thinking? The bizarre bit is announcing it, not that she's going. They could have just
not announced it.
Yeah, announce it a month out. She's leaving.
I do wonder whether that's a precursor to the manager, because Charlotte was here before, and we were talking about it, and she was just like, "Why haven't they just sacked the manager?" Like, if you want to improve things, the manager being sacked is the first thing to get people through the door, because the football is rubbish. And people aren't going to come and watch rubbish football if that's their introduction to Everton Women. First thing is, sack the manager. Which, okay, people don't like using that word, but from everyone I've talked to, hardened fans, they want the manager sacked because they just think it's not good enough. But what like, now that we're sort of...
Promotion hasn't been good, has it?
Well, now that we are where we are...
Sure.
How do you think that... Because I think this is bigger picture now, not just sort of Everton Women, but... How do you look at Goodison now and think? Do you look at it and think we are we're like 3 months in to them being there and playing games there, and we are 4 months into Hill Dickinson, and what are your feelings about that thing now?
I can't remember the exact words I used when we talked about it, and there was lots of enthusiasm, wasn't it? The old lady was sticking around and stuff. And a bit like you said to one of the questions before, I'll see in January, about the change and stuff, is when the novelty's worn off, is it going to be a sad demise for a grand old lady? Right? Which is, how long do you keep opening that ground for 1,500 people to go into it?
Yeah.
That's an insult to its heritage, really.
Yeah,
so you either have to promote the hell out of it to get people in.
Yeah.
But like Charlotte, if she's James as well, if there are people who know about the women's team, the team's playing shit football and losing games, and the manager doesn't seem to know what he can do about it. You know, he's reached the end of the line, blah, 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 blah. Then you almost do a reset, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, if you hit reset, but your chief exec doesn't believe in the reset because maybe thinks the owners, just because you want us to be mega doesn't mean we're going to be mega type of thing. And the owners think, but I'm pouring money into this thing. I expect a better return on investment than I'm getting. Perhaps somebody else should do it. The fact she's sticking around might just be a sop. I don't know why they've even announced it personally, unless, of course, she's going somewhere else. And it will happen before the end of the season, maybe. I don't know.
I get that feeling that in the next couple of months we're going to hear a new CEO's being announced and she's gone.
So just keep your powder dry.
Yeah.
But then again, if somebody knew and they were going to say something, you do have to announce it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're doing all that.
Maybe someone did know, and maybe that's why. Because we got an embargoed
press release.
And the Athletic went 5 minutes early. And you're not allowed to do that unless Everton had fed it directly to them or someone else has fed it. So maybe... But then that still doesn't counter why you'd keep them on, because that's not the same thing, is it? But surely Goodison can't survive with 1,500 people every 2 weeks.
Of course not.
Because you've got to have all those people, all the stewards, all the people who work there.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought when it was announced the women were going to play there that was almost like a holding statement.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with the Goodison now? Well, the ladies are going to play there.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, Dan and his mates are getting ready to buy the Nelson Dock, plonk an indoor arena there, which could be big enough for a footy pitch, whatever. Before you know it, you get the dream of the women playing right next door to the men. When when attendance is justified, you flip into the big boy, and sell that. And that could be 2 or 3 years out, perhaps a little bit longer, because you've got to build a damn thing. But I just don't see the promotion. Nothing's encouraged me to take my granddaughters, for example.
Put it this way, from our point of view, and we are quite happy to promote it.
Damn right.
Really happy to promote it. We get no sort of, without sounding disrespectful, we get no sort of uplift from it in terms of our views and stuff. But
our community spirit bit.
But we want to promote it. We want to promote it, and we reached out to the club and we want to promote it. The week they were playing at Hill Dickinson, we had 2 players in the studio, and James and Charlotte went down to Hill Dickinson and interviewed 2 more players.
That's right.
And it's good content, and we like that, putting that kind of content out. Some people will watch it, some people just watch it just curiosity. We have not had anything like that. We were not invited to the opening of it at Goodison. Now, that might have just been a technicality of just we weren't on the piece of paper then, and now we are. But we've had nothing since. And I've said to them, we'd happily have promotion every single week.
Yeah,
so I'm not having a go at anyone in particular. I'm just looking at it as in general. The week after, they played the Hill Dickinson, which got, 18,000?
Yeah, 18K.
There was a game against Nottingham Forest, which should have been an opportunity to win their first game. It was in the Cup, and it was Forest or a second division team, and I think less than 1,000 people turned up. There was absolutely no promotion of that game. No. It was almost like they just went, don't tell anyone. We're not bothered. And I find that very, very strange. And
disappointing.
Very disappointing. And there's been no... And as I've said many times, and anyone who's a Premier member might have heard earlier on, I've ran round that ground so often, and I've seen the stages of them doing the improvements, and it took it took till about 6-7 weeks into the season for the ground to be finished on the outside. And I just find that bizarre, disrespectful. Inside of the ground, James will tell you it's a disgrace.
Is it?
Absolute disgrace.
It's a bit rough, is it?
It's just that there's a lot of, I don't know, like seats taken out, but they've left like bits of the seats still in the actual place, and you've got to like dodge it to get to the seats bit. It's all weird.
Oh.
There's bits where you can see on TV that seats have been taken out but not replaced with like
what's Colin doing then?
Canopies.
It's just gaffing it.
But what the CEO said, it's only Hannah Forshaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
What she said was, when it first got announced was, or not even when it first got announced, maybe just after the season starts, she came out and said, we're not going to do anything to the stadium. We're going to listen to the feedback of the fan base before we do anything. Now, we have been down this road many a time, John, when the tail is wagging the dog.
That's not tail wagging the dog. That's someone who doesn't know what to say, and that's a stock response.
Yeah.
We're going to wait for feedback. Guess what the feedback is? You know, let us get in for next to nothing, right? Win football matches, and don't try and get people who used to go to that place to watch Premier League games see it being allowed to fall into disrepair.
The other things I've been told by people who are obviously hardened fans as well is, so number one, you've got the ground, the state of it. Number two, you've got far too much marketing has been marketed to girlies, like as in like, so loads of pink.
Oh, okay.
And people are like, what? Why do we? This is not a colour this is a girl's colour, as in like that's the way they've done it. The drinks list is all like cocktails, and they're like, we're going to match. We're not going to match in our heels. And what was the other one? There was another one as well, but it is that. Oh, kids! Like there's far too much emphasis on bring your kids the game rather than. No, come to Goodison. You come to Goodison.
To support the team?
You come to support the team.
Yeah.
You, that person who's been watching Everton for 40 years at Goodison Park, come to Goodison and watch. Not come and bring your kids. Because
bring your kids if you want, but come yourself to watch the game.
But you come the game and it's because you want to watch, not because your kids want to watch. So in November when it's freezing or it's pissing down or whatever, and your kids are like, I don't want to go. You still get up and go the game because you have an invested interest in an Everton team, and that's another thing that. So I wonder whether it is Goodison and whether they just looked at it and gone, this is appalling. There was 15.
The fans, you mean?
Yeah,
I don't want to see it like that.
These are hardened. I'm being told this by hardened Everton women fans who were telling me this, and it's like There was 1,500, I think.
It was 1,500
at the last home game.
It was.
So you're absolutely right. What's the point? And how long can that last? And I think personally, they should invest in a new ground somewhere sooner rather than later, if they can, if it's possible, and that be the home of Everton women's under 21s and under 18s, somewhere where. I mean, I love the idea, by the way, Nelson, I've said it loads of times, putting an arena in the Nelson Dock. I said this time last year I was going to Paris and they have an indoor rugby team at their arena.
You tweeted WhatsApped about being there, didn't you?
So it has an arena, so you can play a full-size rugby game inside this arena.
Wow.
Now, if we could do that, that'd be amazing. But if we can't, at least build a stadium that can hold 6,000-7,000, but can be made bigger. If we need to, and I think that's something they should invest in. Personally,
I'm just looking now because the home attendance is 6,500, so that must be the first game at Goodison. Then 4 and a bit, so it dropped off. So that's the novelty factor going away, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And then 18,154. Phil Dickinson. And as you said, the lowest attendance of the season was the next one.
Yeah.
And then it double that for Man City.
Yeah.
Maybe they've brought some fans with them. Maybe.
Yeah, they did bring some fans with them, yeah.
Yeah. So that's disappointing, right? But if they pull stumps on it, the investment that the owners have made has been wasted.
Yeah. And that's the way I look at it as well. I think they will look at it and go.
And then you've got to do something with it. You can't leave it to rack and room for the next the planning application which we got for Hill Dickinson and the Legacy Project and all those sorts of things, which are all pie in the sky, Baxendale type stuff.
Yeah.
You've got a number of years yet before we have to do something. But if you know now, you know what, you're going to knock it down.
Yeah.
And the sooner that's done, the better.
I think loads of people have made the peace with it.
Yeah.
Because I just think when the end of the season was coming and it was that idea of a transition, people were like, oh, it's great. I don't think I'm not sure that would be, if you had a vote now, I don't think the vote would be, I think people would go, this new place is great. All right, it's not Goodison, but a lot of people said they were going to go back and they just simply haven't.
No, they don't.
They don't go back. And, okay, next week there's a big opportunity. Everton under-21s are playing Real Madrid under-21s.
At Goodison?
Yeah. So
how are you supposed to know that? Apart from you telling us.
Promotion that I've just said.
Yeah.
But that is out there. Everton have put it out there. But, I mean, I'm just saying, but... So there's a game next week. They've got 3 games in December. The under-21s are Goodison. It's in the Premier League trophy, and they're all against international teams.
Right.
But Real Madrid, it's Real Madrid playing.
Yeah.
That.
The name alone should drag people in.
It should. But for me, I think there should be some kind of thing where it's like, apparently after that women's game, was anyone who went to the Hill Dickinson for that game, you got a free ticket for Goodison.
18,000 people went.
Yeah. And it should have been to drive people into Goodison, not to come to Hill Dickinson, to drive people to Goodison for the following week. That should have been the outcome of
18,154 went and 16,500 never bothered the week after.
Yeah.
That's doing something wrong.
So they failed, haven't they?
Big style, yeah.
So it should be, if I'm Everton now, I'm plugging the hell out of these 3 games for the under-21s.
Don't have an accountant as chief exec, have a marketeer as chief exec.
I'm plugging the hell out of these 3 games, these under-21 games. I'm selling 1 ticket for 3 games.
You do everything, and if no bugger turns up, you think, you know what, this building's had its day. Might be actually the building, which is the point you're trying to make, I think, right?
Yeah.
But you've got to pull all the levers on promoting the game.
Yeah.
Everything to get people in there. They'll all be evening matches, won't they?
I'd have 3 under-21s players in this room and I might reach out to them about that. But get them back in the ground, people.
Totally agree.
Night games, and then off the back of that, say, did you enjoy being back at Goodison? Play it every week, you know.
Yeah.
You've got a season ticket, you can come.
Wonder how many season tickets they sold?
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd be interesting.
Especially if it's more than the people who are turning up.
But if you're going to try and get people to, if you're trying to make a plan and try and work off people's memories of going to Goodison Park, then you've got to get them in the first place and go, look at it. And if you get them in and they go, this is a shit.
See, I think that's flawed.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go on.
Having a plan that fundamentally says, no, this place that you used to go to and you thought we were going to knock it down, well, we haven't, so come along. No, come along to support the women's team.
No, I agree, but I'm saying that hasn't worked.
But it can't be just come because it's Goodison, can it?
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that's where the first plan.
It isn't Goodison anymore. It's a building on Goodison Road where Everton used to play.
The first plan hasn't worked, has it?
No.
So they have to move on to the next plan. Of course they do. And the next plan for me should be try and get people into these under-21s. It's free. Get it free. See, I think it is free to season ticket holders. Get as many people there. Promote the hell out of it. Get some under-21s on this show, on one of our shows. Out, you're playing at Goodison, blah, blah, blah. Your next step's Hill Dickinson, if you play, blah, blah, blah. And then anyone who goes, say, there's a free ticket for the women's. Come back and play. Come back.
Tell you what, mate. If you could come up with a mechanism, not just buying tickets per se, but actually you did turn up.
Yeah.
Give bloody away credits for going to watch that game and you'll get people in for... You know what I mean? Just think of all the hooks you can... Or the levers you can pull. Beer is our price.
Villa are doing that, aren't they? Villa are doing that, yeah. If you go and watch the women, it's a credit.
Because we have it for cup games, don't we? Yeah. A home cup game is an away credit.
Yeah. No, it is.
Or maybe every 3 women's games you get an away credit or whatever.
Someone even said to me last week, they were like saying...
Just market it to death.
They were saying about the game at Hill Dickinson. He was like, couldn't he have chose someone who wasn't going to batter us? Like the Man United game. He was like, couldn't he have just picked a team that were like a lowly team and we would have gone and beaten them or had a chance of beating them. And therefore, everyone who come was like, oh, we won. Whereas they got beat, what was it, 4-1?
Yeah.
4-1. So kids' experience of them.
And it could have been more, yeah.
He's getting beat 4-1. So
again, that probably impacted. I'm not going to Goodison when we just got battered at Hill Dickinson.
Yeah. Very, very.
Where's everyone then?
Very strange. Don't know. Everyone got off. No one.
As soon as Flesh went for his teeth, he said the best has been on. I'm off now. Yeah.
Everyone's happy. People maybe don't ring when they're happy. So there you go. Right, we're going.
Yeah.
Yous are lazy. Danny Church says Everton should be promoting the Real Madrid game. Absolutely.
Spot on, mate. Yeah.
Danny Yeller says you could get a free ticket off the Everton site. I think that might be for the under-21s. But still, you've got to... Not everyone's on social media. Not everyone... Someone might pass it and go, oh, yeah. Might see it. And loads of people just pass things by. They don't stop and go, oh, what's that? You've got to promote. Get them on our show. That's what we're here for. Any more before we go?
We could have had a mega promoted game in the middle of the international break.
Yeah. Danny says, I heard it was going to be flats with a mental health facility part of Everton community. Yes, that was the initial. So when they put the planning permission in for
that was the Imagineering.
Ground, that was the planning permission went in for that. And that was the site was going to become a hub for
school and
flats, Everton school, medical places, all these great things that made Everton look absolutely super duper to the planning permission people. And then as soon as the time come, the freaking group just went, nah, we'll leave that because actually people seem to like this place and they don't want it knocked down. And it so far hasn't worked.
No.
So
early days.
Yeah.
Never too late to do the right thing.
There you go. Right. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Thank you for watching. See you all later.